Hey guys, what's up? This is Vinnie Stevens here, and welcome to another video from my channel, and welcome to another episode of Album Ranker. So in this video we will be reviewing Def Leppard albums worst to best. Now I've decided for this video to put in their compilation album Octave and their cover album into the mix. I know in the last video I didn't put like covers and stuff, compilations in, but I am for this video. If you haven't seen my last video for Album Ranker, where I ranked Metallica's albums worst to best, go back and check that out. Now, fortunately, I don't know when this is going out. If you haven't seen my isolation videos I've been doing during the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic, I explain why in one of the videos about kind of what has changed, just due to something due to my laptop having a bit of a problem that it decided to wipe itself, but everything was still in my C drive. Obviously, I had to I tried system restore, that didn't work. Had to reinstall the operating system, which it means I had to get rid of all the programs and stuff. So now I'm using, currently as the minute, because I don't know yet, Power Director 18, which is the latest version they have released. Cyber, and I have been writing the rest of the script on WordPad because I don't have Microsoft Office 365 installed yet. But that's the reason why. But enough of me talking, let's get on with the video. So, number 12. If I just scroll up. So X. So X, or pronounced as 10, is the 8th studio album by the band. It was released on the 30th of July 2002. Much like their album Slime, which will feature later in this list, it features another departure from their signature sound by moving into the pop genre. This is the first album in which drummer Rick Allen actively took part in songwriting. On all the band's previous albums, he is the only credited with co-writing 3 tracks, while on this album he wrote 11 songs. The album features the Roman numeral X, recognizes 10th album released, although this is their 8th studio album, but like their 10th album released overall. Bit confusing. With the exception of their operative version of Now being part of their acoustic melody in 2012, nothing from this album was performed live by the band since its conclusion of its supporting tour until it let its redundancy in 2019. It's my review on it. It's at number 12 because it is my least favorite Def Leppard album. I've only ever heard it a couple of times and never really grown on me. There are good songs on it, like Now, 4-Letter Word, A Long Long Way to Go. To the rest of the album, don't really like that much. I think this album is just, it's a bit too poppy for my taste, but Def Leppard are trying to put their own kind of sound onto it, but it's not really my favourite. So on to the next album. So number 11 is Slang. So the band released Slang as their 6th studio album, released on the 14th of May 1996. This album was a musical departure from their signature sound. This was the first album since 1980 not to be produced by Robert John Lang, and it was produced by Peter Rootcliffe, if I have said his name right. It was the first album with new material to feature guitarist Vivian Campbell. It's the only Def Leppard album not to feature their recognisable font logo on their album cover. My review on it: this album, again, a bit like X or 10, is one of my least favourite albums. This one ranks a bit higher because I've listened to it more to this album than X. Again, I've only ever listened to it a couple of times. This album did grow on me a bit, but I rarely listen to it. It's got songs like Slime, All I Want Is Everything, Work It Out, Breathe a Sign. They're not bad songs. I would listen to them once in a while. Slime I would probably listen to more. and Deliver Me once. It consider I've constantly started to listen to it, but this is because it just ended up on my Spotify on my Spotify, like I don't know what list, it's like repeats list, but all in all it's still a good it is a good album. Now on to number 10. So I've actually swapped these two about. So this was supposed to be number 9, but I've moved it to number 10. So number 10 is Yeah. So this is the now studio album by the band, and it's the first and only cover album to date by the band. It was originally to be released on 20th of September 2005, but it was announced on the 31st of March 2006 that the album would be released on the 23rd of March 2006. This album was recorded between 2003 and 2006. I think my review on this, I think this album is a decent album. With it a bit different to what Def Leppard have done in the past. I think a lot of this album, being a cover album, are from like influences from each of the members of the band. A lot of their songs are from the 70s era, which isn't really a big era of music I would really listen to. Like the only 3 songs I would listen to on this album would be 20th Century Boy by T-Rex, because I'm a bit of a T-Rex fan. Rock On by David Essex, which is the only song I know, and Don't Believe in Word by Thin Lizzy. The other songs are a bit alright, but it's not my kind of music taste. I would listen to David Bowie, but not this song on the album. The band do put a bit of a modern twist with their sound for the covers on this album, but it's actually a decent album, but it's alright. It would be an album I would very rarely listen to. So yeah, so on to the next album. So number 9 is Europa. This is the 7th studio album released on June 8th, 1999 in the United States, and on the 14th of June in 1999 in the United Kingdom. The album aimed to return to their signature sound that the band made famous in the 1980s. The band was intentionally unsure which direction to take on this album. Convening in April of 1998, the band will enlist the aid of former producer Mutt Lange for a more limited role. Lange co-wrote 3 of the songs and performed backing vocals. This was the first album to feature an instrumental since High and Dry, which will be on this list later. Europa would later be certificate in the US, Canada and Japan Gold. The album supported tour starts from May 1999 to September 2000. My review on this album, the album I do like, but it wouldn't be up there with wouldn't be up there. That's why it's at number 9. I did actually swap it with the last album, and the reason is it's the same as like the last couple of albums. It is an album I rarely listen to. It has grown on me a bit. Like it does have that Def Leppard signature sound to it, but with a more late 90s kind of sound to it. There is good songs on it, like Promises I would tend to listen to a bit. Goodbye, which I would rarely listen to, and Paper Song, which I've actually started to listen to till now. It's a song I would rarely listen to, but the rest of the album is alright. So now on to number 8. So number 8 is Songs from the Sparkle Lounge. So this album is the 10th studio album released by the band. It was released in Europe on the 25th of April 2008 and on the 29th of April in North America. Coming off the boost from their last album, the band worked on a new material while they were on the road supporting the album. That's kind of where the title comes from, referring to the backstage room that they had designated to writing. This album, they moved away from their pop experimentation with X, attempting to reclaim a bit of their glam metal goal from their heyday. My review on it, I think this is a good album. I can't consider this album like their true comeback album, unlike kind of Europa as Euphoria, sorry, as their kind of like comeback, but not their true comeback. Like it does have that Def Leppard singer sound to it, but with a bit of a modern sound to it. But it is a bit different. Like it has that bluesy rock song Nine Lives, with a song I really quite like from this album, which features the I guess, which I think is the first and only time the band have ever done it. I could be wrong. Country singer Tim McGrath. Honestly, I do like country music because I come from the Ireland of Ireland. I prefer Irish music to American country. And it has anyway, but it has more lymphic songs like another favourite of mine, Come On, which I think is a bit of a underrated song. And other songs like Go, which is such an opening song to an album, and the ballad Love, which is an alright song. So now on to number 7. So next album is Def Leppard's self-titled album. So this is, as I said, Selftitled's 11th studio album by the band, and it's the latest studio album to be released by the band. It was released on the 30th of October 2015, making it excuse me, the longest gap between two studio albums in their career, and the first on their new album on a new record deal. The album was produced by Ron I cannot say it. McHugh, sorry. There's it. And the band. It won 2016 Classic Rock Roll Honours Award for Album of the Year. It debuted at number 10 on the Billboard 200 and their 7th top 10 album to debut on Billboard. So my review on it, I think this is a good album. Good decent amount of songs on it. It does come close to the accomplishing the feel that I get from their like earlier albums, as they have done in some time. Their Fist to the Sky Open and Let's Go offer some sugary glory, while Dangerous, their next song on the album, felt the reminiscence of the band's best work, while the following song, Man Enough, lets the bassist Rick Savage stretch the bass out a bit, with Joe Elliott, the lead singer, belling a bit of Freddie Mercury from Queen. This album is solid all the way through, with tracks like We Belong standing out, and for me a standout track on this album is Winds of an Angel. I actually went to see the band when they were doing the tour, UK tour with Whitesnake, joint headlining when they to support this album. It was actually my first ever concert I went to, and they did a lot of these songs live from this album, which was great. But oh no, good album. So number 6 is Retroactive. So this is a compilation album that was released on the 5th of October 1993. The album features a touched up versions of B-sides and previous unreleased songs by the band, as well as the recording sessions are from February 1984 to June 1993. So through the Hysteria and the Adrenalize album, which will be coming up very soon. This is the first album to feature guitarist Vivian Campbell and featured last bit of work from the late Steve Clark, who had died in 1991. The songs on this album featured from like Hysteria sessions, like Desert Sun and Fractured Love, as well as a cover song like Action by the Sweets, and 2 ballads like Phil Collins' Miss You and a Heartbeat and Joe Elliott's Who Stops Behind. This album kind of showed how the band could flourish without producer Matt Lang's studio trickery. So my review on Retroactive. Uh, so so I think this is a good album. It is a bit different to other Def Leppard albums. I actually didn't know until I started researching um into this video. that this was actually a compilation album. Um, Even though it doesn't feature like songs from like the previous albums, uh, like it does feature songs like I would have never heard of until listening to this album, from like B-sides of singles, songs that I would listen to, but they have been like kind of touched up, and songs that had never been released that featured on this album. Um, Again, I thought this was kind of a great tribute to and kind of then the year of Steve Clark, and then the year of that kind of tractor chapter for the band, and kind of the beginning of a new chapter as well for the band. It does have good songs like Two Steps Behind, which is unreal live, Desert Song, Fractured Love, Miss You in a Heartbeat, Action, which is also a good song live, She's So Tough, and From the Inside. All in all, it is a good album. Number 5, On Through the Night. So, this was the debut studio album by the band. This was released on the 14th of March 1980 and was recorded in December of 1979. This album was produced by Tom Olam. It was charted at number 15 on the UK Albums Chart and number 51 on the Billboard 200. This album featured songs such as Wasted, Hello America, and Rock Brigade, which were released as singles. The album featured re-recorded versions of Rocks Off and the Overture tracks from the band original independently released EP, Def Leppard EP. This album was charted by the RIAA on the 18th of November 1983, and went platinum on the 9th of May 1989. The Def Leppard we know today in 2020 sounded quite a bit different in their earliest incarnation in the early 80s, with Pete Willis on guitar delivering the heaviest songs of their career. So my review on For the Night, I think this is a great album. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best debut albums of all time, but it is a good debut album. I do feel like it is one of those albums, like it did kick off and start the whole like new wave of British heavy metal. And at the time of like the release of this album, like they were coming out where the time was just right, where metal was just kind of footing in the UK. Certainly I feel for this album, you do hear the influence that is definitely felt on this album. There is a bit of that Def Leppard signature sound coming out a bit on this album. Honestly, I felt if the band did stay on that route, I think their career would have been very different. They would have probably enjoyed the commercial success they later got with later albums. It does have a polished sound to it. It has heavy songs on it from their career. Some songs on it are good, like Hello America, Rock Brigade, Wasted, the re-recorded of Rocks Off. So yeah, on to the next song. So number 4 is High and Dry. So this was the second studio album released by the band in the UK on the 6th of July 1981, and then at the 11th of July of that year in the US. This was the last full studio album to feature Pete Willis on guitar. Charted at number 48 on the Billboard 200 and number 26 on the UK Albums Chart. High and Dry, Saturday Night, it's in brackets for some reason, ranked number 33 on VH1's 40 Greatest Songs. Videos for Bring It On the Heartbreak and Me and My Ryan were made. They featured Phil Collin, which at this time he wasn't a full member of the band and had nothing to do with the recording. The band's So for more, if I have said that right, said High and Dry was a key in their evolution, as elements of their metal beginnings remained intact. The the album has a more commercial sound. The riffs on this album are more sharp, but the production experts of Matt Lyne, who was the producer for the next couple of albums, as well, started to move the band towards a more accessible sound. So my review on High and Dry. This is a great album. Like this was again, it was kind of a key in their evolution. I kind of don't consider this as kind of their breakthrough album. It still has some of those elements, as I said before, like from their metal beginnings, but there is a bit of a hint in the songs that this was where the band was going, which was more commercial. This album did obviously shift towards a more accessible sound, which I love. This album has good songs on it, like Let It Go, Never Hit and Run, High and Dry, Saturday Night. The instrumental switched 625 on through the night, a murmur, look into my eyes. So number 3 is Adrenalize. So this is the first studio album that was released by the band. It was released on the 31st of March 1992. It was recorded between 1988 to 1992. This album was the first since the death of guitarist Steve Clark in 1991. Instead of replacing him with a new member, the band recorded as the album as a four-piece, continuing down the pop-friendly hard rock path. But the band kept their hot streak alive with 4 major singles. Adrenalize felt like their sound was starting to wear a little thin. Regardless, the fan base was still there, with chart topping the Rival and Billboard 200 albums chart, and it went triple platinum in the US. So, Adrenalize, my review on it. I think this is a brilliant album. Obviously, considering it is in the top 3, it continues down that kind of route that the previous albums like Hysteria and Parmenio, which we'll begin to. It does have that, pop friendly hard rock path, but the hot streak of that in this album is still alive with their sound. I do feel when listening to this album, the only downside, it does start to wear thin, but overall it is actually still a strong album, and it has like top rocking albums like Let's Get Rocked, the aggressive song Making Love Like a Man, the Ringlingish rock ballad Have You Ever Needed Someone So Bad. Nice, a song that I think is quite underrated is Stand Up, Kick Love Into Emotion. Other good tracks on this album such as Heaven Is, Tonight and I Want to Touch You are solid songs as well. So yeah, on to the next album. Number two is Pyromania. So this is the third album by the band, which I actually have on vinyl, funny enough. But a vinyl review on it, go and check it out. Anyway, this was released on 20th of January 1983, which the album was recorded between January to November of 1982. This album featured guitarist Phil Collin, who replaced founding member Pete Willis after being fired. Parmenio was produced by Robert John Lyne. The album was a shift away from the band's traditional heavy metal roots towards a more radio-friendly glam metal and hard rock, finding massive mainstream success. Parmenio charted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, kept from the top by Michael Jackson's Thriller, selling over 10 million copies in the US. It had been certificated diamond by the RIAA. 1983, Parmenio with a hard rock and metal primed for a boom. It jumped the band to the foremost with the moment the album was released, and was one of the key releases in helping them bring heavier music into the mainstream. Now on to number 1. So Pyromania, my review on it. I think this is one of my all-time favorite albums. It'll be certainly up there. I consider this album as kind of their breakthrough. It has got that Def Leppard signature sound to it. Like, this obviously catapulted the band to fame. This kind of, once I got into Def Leppard, I started to hear more of their songs from this album as well. Should also say the same with the last album. Like, this obviously made them one of the metal giants, along with, for example, Whitesnake, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest from that era. Just as an example, it is a brilliant hard rock and metal primed album that just went boom from start to finish. It's one of the most, it is one of those most important albums in metal, and it did push the band's forefront with this release. It's got good songs like Photograph, Rock of Ages, Foolin', Too Late for Love, and Rock Till You Drop as the opener, which is unreal. So all those other songs are solid for this album as well. Even live today, there's still great songs to hear. And even also, I actually do have it on vinyl. You can go back and check out the vinyl review I did on it. It is original 1983 press release, and it's just on vinyl. It just makes the sound so much better. So anyway, on to number 1. So number 1 is Hysteria. So this is the 4th album by the band that was released on the 3rd of August 1987. It was recorded over 4 years, from February 1984 to January 1987. It is Def Leppard's best-selling album to date, selling over 25 million copies worldwide, including 12 million sales in the US, and it had spawned 7 hit singles. The album was produced by Robert John Lang. This was the last to fully feature guitarist Steve Clark before his death. I know he co-wrote songs on the next album, Adrenalize, which I left out. This album was plagued by delays, including Rick Allen's accident, in which he lost his left arm and had to teach himself to play the drums again with only one hand, and tough times as well, which the band endured during the album's recording. This album is the longest album to date at 62 minutes and 32 seconds. So my review on Hysteria. This is actually one of my all-time favorite albums, and it is that album that got me introduced to Def Leppard. A lot of these songs got me into the band, and it's got some awesome songs like Woman, Rocket, Ammo, Love Bites, Pour Some Sugar on Me, Armageddon, and Hysteria. The other songs on this album are pretty solid as well, and it is a good album. It just, over time, this album has stood out to me. It is one hell of an album. So yeah, obviously, if I haven't mentioned before, I have seen Def Leppard live before, back in 2015, when they were promoting the Selftitled album. They did a lot of the songs from this album, and it actually grew me as a band. It was actually one of the first bands I saw live. Obviously, they have actually re-recorded some of these songs as well. But I wouldn't say they would be up there. Not as good as the original. They have actually recorded this album live as well, along with other songs. Viva Hysteria. They did a kind of a UK tour, I think 2 years ago, to celebrate the album. They played in full. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have seen it live. I think they did say they're not going to play this album fully anymore, which I'm a bit gutted about. But you never know. They played it live. Obviously, they played the album live in full. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to that because at the time I was moving to England. So I'm just going to wrap this video up now. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel and hit the instant notifications bell for more videos like album ranker or any other videos. So yeah, this video was recorded over kind of 3 days. I did 12 to, I think it was 12 to 7 with the reviews, and then 6 to 1 and then the reviews. And so I'm just trying to get at the minute with this new series, try and find the best way to do it. So next up is going to be Whitesnake. So tune in for that. And so yeah, and I guess see ya.